Today's drug kingpin is one step closer to freedom. The Bureau of Prisons confirms Rayful Edmond III is now either in a halfway house or confined to his home. It is hard to fully explain how many lives were cut short or changed forever by the way Edmond ran his drug ring on the streets, how his decisions rippled across the district. 5 years ago, my dear friend and colleague, the late Bruce Johnson, anchored a half-hour special on Edmond, and I wanted to share part of that with you tonight.
Wherever there was a corner, you could buy crack.
Keeping it real, we were overwhelmed. When the crack epidemic hit, the D.C. Police Department wasn't ready for it.
When crack was the hustle here in the nation's capital back in the 1980s, nobody, absolutely nobody, worked harder than Rayful Edmond III. In court, prosecutors said Edmond's enterprise brought in several hundred kilos of cocaine per month. It's believed that at its peak, his crack empire was allegedly taking in as much as $300 million per year.
It was hell for a minute.
Here, there was nonstop drug dealing, slingers on the street 24/7, and you had violence that would break out as young men and teenagers fought for turf.
24-year-old Rayful Edmond reportedly controlled as much as 60% of the crack market in D.C. He reportedly had more than 150 people on the payroll at one point. Rayful was never accused of murder, but no fewer than 30 slayings were blamed on his associates. The wars over crack territories helped send the district's homicide rate through the roof, 400 per year, earning the city the dubious title of murder capital of the world.
So, everywhere I go, Joe, families be like, where you from? You know, whether it be New York or the UK. And I be like, I'm from DC, I'm from DC, I'm from DC, I'm from DC. Yeah, and they don't believe it, you know. So I just tell them this right here. Let the beat rock, let the beat rock, let the beat rock. I said let it rock. I'm from DC. I'm from DC.
What's good with y'all, Mo? Welcome back to Paperwork TV. Today I got a little bit of history that I want to go back and teach y'all. Since the infamous former drug kingpin Rayful Edmond was released from prison a couple of weeks ago, there has been a lot of talk online as to why he ended up snitching on the men after he got took down for his multi-million-dollar drug empire. When I say the men, I mean that Rayful Edmond told on fellow peers that he was known to do business with, some of which he even grew up with here in DC. Some say he wanted to reduce his mother's prison time. Others say that Rayful had made connections with the sons of Griselda Blanco and ended up owing them for drugs that he got on credit to front some of his men back home from jail, which prompted him to tell on some of his own friends because of non-payment. I feel like it is my job to give y'all my theory of what really happened from what I have gathered together online. Before we get to it, please do me a favor and go and smash that like and subscribe button, Mo. Also, don't forget to go and follow me on Instagram at PaperworkTV2002 for uncensored content that I cannot post on YouTube. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The walls of Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary were designed to isolate, to break spirits. The cold, unyielding concrete and the echoing silence were meant to crush any hope of rebellion. But for Rayful Edmond III and the Trujillo Blanco brothers, it became a university of crime. A place where the most dangerous minds could meet and exchange ideas. A place where ambition festered and a new empire was born. Within these walls, they found the perfect environment to cultivate their criminal aspirations. Edmond, the one-time king of DC's crack trade, found kindred spirits in the brothers. They shared a vision of power and control that transcended their prison sentences. Their ruthlessness matched his own. Together, they formed a bond that was as dangerous as it was unbreakable. Dixon Dario Trujillo Blanco and his brother Osvaldo Trujillo Blanco, products of the Colombia's drug underworld, were no strangers to power. They had navigated the treacherous waters of the drug trade with skill and brutality. They ran their own vast cocaine network. Their operations spanned continents, and their influence was felt far and wide. A chance meeting in the yard at Lewisburg sealed their fates together. It was here that their plans began to take shape, away from the prying eyes of the guards. Edmond, facing a life sentence, saw an opportunity. He realized that his knowledge and connections could still be valuable. A way to gain back influence, even behind bars, he began to strategize, using every resource at his disposal to rebuild his empire. The brothers, recognizing Edmond's DC connections, were eager to expand. They saw in him a gateway to new markets and greater profits. This was a partnership forged in necessity and fueled by greed. Their combined ambitions created a powerful alliance that would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Their shared ambition would have devastating consequences, reaching far beyond the prison walls that held them. The ripple effects of their alliance would be felt in cities and communities across the nation, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Both Edmond and the Trujillo Blancos were products of their environments. Edmond, a child of Washington, D.C.'s poorest streets, in Northeast to be exact, rose to prominence during the crack epidemic. His charisma and business acumen were undeniable. He built an empire on the backs of the addicted, his name whispered with fear and respect. The Trujillo Blancos, hailing from Colombia, were heirs to a legacy of drug trafficking. Their rise was swift and brutal, marked by violence and intimidation. They understood the language of the streets, the currency of loyalty and betrayal. Prison had brought them together, but their paths were eerily similar. Ambition, it seemed, bloomed in the shadows, fueled by circumstance and a hunger for power. In each other, they saw a reflection of themselves. A dangerous alliance was inevitable. The influence of family, particularly their mothers, played a pivotal role in the lives of both Edmond and the Trujillo Blancos. Constance Bootsy Perry, Edmond's mother, was a formidable figure. She ran a tight-knit family operation. Loyalty was paramount, but so was her love for her son. Her strength and determination were the backbone of their family, guiding them through the turbulent waters of their illicit activities. She was not just a mother, but a leader, a strategist, and a protector. For the Trujillo Blancos, their mother, Griselda Blanco, known as Mama Blanca, or the godmother of cocaine, was a matriarch in the truest sense. She instilled a sense of loyalty and ambition in her sons. Under her watchful eye, their drug empire flourished. Mama Blanca was a woman of immense influence and power within her family. She was the glue that held them together, ensuring that every move they made was calculated and precise. Her teachings were not just about the business, but about survival and unity. She taught them the intricacies of the trade, the nuances of negotiation, and the art of maintaining control in a volatile environment. The importance of family bonds, the strength that comes from unity, and the necessity of trust within their inner circle. Isolation couldn't stop their entrepreneurial spirit. Edmond and the Trujillo Blancos, despite being incarcerated, found ways to maintain their grip on the drug trade. Using coded language and smuggled messages, they orchestrated cocaine deals from their cells. Edmond, with his knowledge of DC's underworld, became a crucial link between the brothers and their distributors on the outside. His network, though weakened by his imprisonment, was far from over with. Loyal associates, eager to capitalize on his connection to the Trujillo Blancos, became willing pawns in their game. The flow of cocaine in Washington, D.C. never stopped. It was a testament to their reach, their audacity, that even behind bars, they held the strings of a multi-million-dollar operation. The prison, meant to be their downfall, became the birth of a new kind of criminal enterprise. Edmond's network expands. My role went beyond just making deals. I was a strategist, connecting the Trujillo Blancos with key players in the DC drug scene. I understood the importance of alliances, of keeping a low profile while expanding our reach. His network, a web of loyal associates and intimidated pawns, became an extension of the Trujillo Blancos operation. He identified weaknesses in rival gangs, exploiting them to solidify the brothers' dominance in the city's drug market. Even though I was incarcerated, I wasn't powerless. I was like a conductor, orchestrating the movements of others from my cell. My mind, always working, saw opportunity where others saw only concrete and steel. The walls close in. 1994, a year of reckoning. The year 1994 marked a turning point. The DEA, after a lengthy investigation, launched a series of raids targeting Rayful's network. Associates were rounded up, evidence seized. The operation, meticulously built from within prison walls, began to crumble. The indictment was a heavy blow. It detailed the extent of their operation, the millions of dollars generated, the lives destroyed by their product. The brothers, once seemingly untouchable, now faced the full weight of the law. Our empire, built on a foundation of violence and corruption, was on the verge of collapse. The question was, who would crack first? Facing a life sentence with no possibility of parole, Edmond made a decision that would send shockwaves through the entire underworld. He turned informant, agreeing to testify against the notorious Trujillo Blancos and dismantle the very empire he helped build from the ground up. His cooperation was a double-edged sword, fraught with peril. It offered a glimmer of hope for a reduced sentence, a chance to one day walk free from his cell. But it came at a steep and unforgiving price. He would forever be branded as a snitch, his name synonymous with betrayal in the criminal world he once ruled. The so-called kingpin, who had built his reputation on loyalty and ruthlessness, had chosen self-preservation over everything. The consequences of his decision would reverberate through the criminal underworld for years to come. According to officials, Edmond was transferred on Wednesday, July 31st, to community confinement overseen by the Federal Bureau of Prisons' Nashville Residential Reentry Management Office.
I'm back, better than ever. Hell yeah. I'm back, better than ever.
This means Edmond is in either home confinement or a residential reentry center or a halfway house. Edmond was serving a life sentence without parole on federal drug charges after pleading guilty in DC in 1989. Court documents indicate that Edmond was responsible for hundreds of kilograms of cocaine sold from the DC area and that he made millions in the process. After his conviction, Edmond began selling drugs from behind bars until he was caught in 1994. Edmond began cooperating with law enforcement after he was charged in prison. In 2019, prosecutors said Edmond's cooperation enabled them to arrest 8 people involved in a district drug ring and recover $190,000 in drug proceeds. With all of that being said, do y'all believe that Rayful simply snitched on his men here in DC just to get his mom, a woman who was allegedly a part of the street life as well, out of jail? Or do y'all think that Rayful was jive shook and didn't want Mama Blanco to put that belt on his ass, so he hid behind witness protection all of these years, thinking he could outsmart and outlive his rivals? Either way, I'm hearing the streets say that his legacy means nothing to them, just for the simple fact that he told when those people came at him after he already know what he was involved in. Well, that's all I got time for today, Mo. Maybe one day Uncle Rayful will come back home and the streets will embrace him. I pray nothing happens to him, because I'm sure there's still some people out here still mad about that. Until then, free Wayne Perry.
Until next time, be safe out there, y'all. And most importantly of all, stay dangerous, Mo.